as many transitions and beat switches and changes in tone. Like I just didn't know what to make of it. But like I walked away with one thought at the end of my first listen, and I was like, Tyler is really good at making music.
Mm.
Like I don't know what this album is yet. I don't know how to feel about it, but just musically, just listening to it, like he is really great at making music. I know that sounds really simple and to the point, but like
Yeah.
that's just what I walked away with it from. But so
Let me put you on game.
Yeah, bro.
but let's move from something a little depressing into something very surprising and for me at least enjoyable.
Yeah.
Uh the new Tyler the Creator album, Call Me If You Get Lost, from rapper, businessman, producer, uh Tyler the Creator. And he dropped this album last Friday, but we always like to give these albums a little room to breathe, so we decided to review it on this week's podcast. But yeah, what are you thinking about the new Tyler album? How are you feeling about it? Your overall thoughts before we get into the review.
This man by the name of Tyler Baudelaire. Am I saying his name correctly?
Oh, his little character that he created.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
Tyler
it's
Baudelaire.
yeah, it was a very pleasant surprise. I think, 2020 was, I feel like, a down year for rap, and there were not a lot of great albums in my eyes. Also, I don't listen to enough music to really quantify that, but just overall, it just felt like a down year. And now a lot of my favorite artists have been dropping work, and I'm just glad to see someone else, tune into the game. And from the single that he dropped a couple weeks ago, Lumberjack, and hearing that and being like, oh wow, this is dope. I can't wait to see what he does for the album. And for him to just bring this album out of nowhere, and off the back of an amazing album in Igor, it just it, he's giving you everything you want as a fan. He's more introspective. He has played around with his sound a lot. He's experimental. He's soulful. He has great features, great performances by those features, and has just crafted a very um, honest but masterfully done work in my eyes. Like he's like in his prime. He's in the prime of his artistic music sonic uh gel that is, and this is the culmination of that in my eyes. Like I'm very impressed. How
Yeah.
about you?
Uh on first listen, like I didn't really even know what to make of it.
Right.
Yeah, I just listened to it, but like I just walked away from it. Like I couldn't conceptualize everything because that's how I listen to music. But especially with this, like as many transitions and beat switches and changes in tone, like I just didn't know what to make of it. But like I walked away with one thought at the end of my first listen, and I was like, Tyler is really good at making music.
Mm.
Like I don't know what this album is yet. I don't know how to feel about it, but just musically, just listening to it, like he is really great at making music. I know that sounds really simple and to the point, but like
Yeah.
that's just what I walked away with it from. But so after like my third or fourth listen, I was able to think about the concept of the album more, and I was able to kind of digest what he was trying to do. But yeah, just overall, he's had a hell of a run, man. Like with his last three albums, where Flower Boy, Igor, and now Call Me If You Get Lost, Tyler he's a one of one. Like I think you can
Yeah.
genuinely say that there's not anyone in rap or in music in general that's quite like him.
Right.
Uh, this album was great. I loved his choices in production. I love the transitions, how some songs start off so fast paced and hectic and then end up being like a ballad, or it starts out like elevator music and ends up being a banger. But like it all just works. Like I don't it's so hard to really conceptualize. I think overall, it's one of the most interesting rap albums I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
I think conceptually and just how it sounds, like it just sounds interesting. Like that's just the first thought you have about it. It's just like this sounds really interesting. So
Yeah.
let's just dive in. Like what are some specifics you noticed with the album, whether you want to go track by track or moments that the album had for you?
I'll so what was interesting to me is I want to piggyback on that point you made. The first time I listened to it, it was in the car and I was driving, had my wife in the passenger side. And so I wasn't 100% focused, but I knew I enjoyed the sound and I knew I enjoyed some moments on it. But once I got home, I threw on the studio headphones and I really zoned in. The intricacies of every song started to really hit. And I'm like, oh my God. So like you got the start of the album, you have him with DJ, was it DJ Drama?
Yeah, DJ Drama.
Yeah, and his ad-libbing and just creating this whole dynamic and you expecting one thing. So you if you got DJ Drama, you better have hard banger beats and banger bars. And he gave you that. So on a song like Corso, where the flow is just straight fire, and he rides you through that first verse, you go through the bridge, and then you have that part, can you turn the noise up? Can you turn the noise up? And like you're bumping your head and you're just imagining yourself in a crowd, him doing that, right? And just doing that for like 5 straight minutes, 5 straight minutes. And you hear that, but then you go to songs like Lumberjack that gives you that same type of energy, which is a single, and transition to a song like Massa and Manifesto, where he's more personable, he's extremely introspective, extremely open about his past struggles, difficulties in high school, difficulties living up to the expectations that people have for him as a Black man, as a Black artist in the social justice movement. And him just saying to himself, hey, like, maybe that's not where I'm supposed to be. Maybe my job is to just tell Black kids to do what they want and to be free. And which is powerful in and of itself. And his courage to just kind of stand by what he believes. And then so like you have the bars, you have the dope beats, but then you have the experimental side, you have the auto tune, and the masterful way that he creates a different personality when he uses auto tune. He's not the same Tyler that you see on regular songs with the aggressive, like rattly voice. It's a little more soft when he does auto-tune. He's singing. And then even on a song like Safari, the bookend of the album, he uses a medium level of auto-tune where you're getting the bars, where you're getting the flow, and he's not singing, but he's hitting you with more bars, with more lyrics, with more great flow. You got the bangers like Juggernaut that, with a great performance by both Pharrell and Lil Uzi, and you're just like bumping your head and knowing that Pharrell had his whole hand and feet in this song and just gave Tyler just a dope song. Songs like Wilshire, that's another great storytelling song, like top to bottom. At first I thought, oh, maybe the middle of the album wasn't as good, but then you have the interlude with Mama Talk and Manifesto and Massa, and it's like, no, the middle of this is good. And then you think, okay, the end is better, but then you think about Corso and Lumberjack in the beginning, and it's like, this is just I'm sorry, I could go on and on. Please tell me your side.
No, it's great.
Tell me what you enjoyed most, man.
Talk your stuff, man. It's all good. No, I enjoyed the project front to back, man. Like you said, he made such a great use of features. It was almost Kanye like Kanye has this unique ability to know exactly where everyone should be placed. Like if you look on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he has a great sense of who to put where, and everyone really works well in the spots that he puts them in. So even like 42 Doug, who's someone I never bothered to listen to, he works on Lemonhead. NBA Youngboy works really, really well on What's Your Name. It's like, and also just the fact that like a track like What's Your Name is sandwiched between two tracks like Lemonhead and Lumberjack. It just like it kind of speaks to what the album is on at that point, and how we can transition from these hard, almost industrial rap beats to like a 90s R&B sample song. And then you put like a really abrasive rapper like NBA Youngboy, and he fits, he works. His verse was great. So, and I used My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy analogy, but it also kind of relates to Tyler in the way that how My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is Kanye at his best, in terms of it sounds like a culmination of all his projects that came before. So you can hear aspects of Graduation, but you can also hear aspects of like 808s and Heartbreak. But on Call Me If You Get Lost, you can hear aspects of his earlier days with albums like Bastard, or you can hear the tone in his voice from songs like Yonkers, or the way that he's rapping and his lyricism. But you can also hear elements of Igor, as well as elements of Flower Boy, because a lot of these intros, the elevator music type stuff, like a lot of that stuff was really present on Flower Boy. So it's kind of the culmination of his career essentially with this album. But just to talk about the different tracks, like overall, also like I'm just like I'm all over the place like this album, but like in a good way. But like it just sounds so great. Like you have like Lumberjack, where it's Tyler at his best. I loved his flow. Like he's talking about how his friend looks like a chick. I call him Mulan. Like he has all of these like funny, interesting lines, and he almost has like this like Action Bronson sense of where he's constantly talking about luxury on this album, and like his excess, but he's doing it in a really interesting way. Like he's stunting on you, but like it's in a really interesting and endearing way, because it comes from a place where he's kind of talking about how happy he is to be where he's at. And then you transition to songs like Hot Wind Blows, and Wayne has continued to give really great features. It's kind of reminiscent of his song on Flower Boy. I love when Wayne, like, he legit like says in the verse that he wants the drums to drop out, and then they actually do, like on the on the verse, and then he opens it up with like a super hard bar. He said, excuse me, pardon me, the wind, it blows so hard to me, like Mother Nature arguing about some baby father beef. Like, who would compare like wind to Mother Nature arguing? Like that's such a cool interesting way to talk about something. And then you got tracks like you talked about earlier with Manifesto, and it kind of shows Tyler being really mature in how he talks about his place in the world, and how we had this conversation about China and athletes. But you guys can go back and check out that conversation in one of our previous episodes. But it kind of spoke to me in terms of people not being obligated, or not necessarily always being qualified to discuss every social issue. And when they don't discuss that social issue, people kind of criticize them without realizing like maybe they aren't the person to talk about it, And Tyler was kind of transparent about that. Like, yeah, I care, but like I'm not the guy that needs to be addressing this. So I will do what I can. And like you said, he's like, I'm just going to tell these kids to do what they want and to express themselves, because that's what I did. That's what I can speak to. And then you go from that to a song like Sweet / I thought you wanted to dance, like which the first half of that is so great. You have Brent Faiyaz on there, another great use of a feature. And then you have the second half where Tyler is experimenting with 1970s reggae, but it works. So it's just really really intriguing. But it's just and you already discussed like Juggernaut, and there's so many different tracks on this album that are really enjoyable. Wilshire is a confusing song for me, because it's kind of mixed. Like it's a song I don't necessarily want to go back and listen to when I run through the album again, but it's a song that when I do listen to it, it captures my attention, because he's actually really great at telling a story. But the sound of the song itself isn't like so great to me, because it's mixed kind of weird. But overall, like the fact that he's a good enough rapper to hold your attention for 9 minutes discussing a failed potential relationship is actually kind of speaking to what Tyler is capable of doing. But yeah, overall, I love the project, man. I know I just went on like a 10-minute rant, but like it's that good. It was that enjoyable.
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Yeah, man. So top three songs.
You hit me with three?
I'm gonna hit you with three, man.
Three? Dang. I would go I'm gonna go Juggernaut.
Okay.
Sweet, I Thought You Wanted to Dance. And what's your name?
Okay. Okay.
It could
enough.
change though. Tomorrow you could ask me and it could be a different three, but that's my three.
So for me, I'm tight because I'm like, dang, you basically chose everything I chose. I should have went first. I thought Sweet, I Thought You Wanted to Dance. Yeah, that's it for me. Juggernaut, yes, give me more Juggernaut. I need Juggernaut in my life every day. That's gonna be one of my summer anthems. And Rise. The singing by Daisy World was so soulful and impactful, and his bars on the song were just great. So I
that would probably be if we had a top five, that'll probably be in there. Maybe top three. That's such a catchy song. I love that. It is.
But yes, I agree. As I give this album more and more spins, that really might change. I found myself liking some songs one day and then going back and I'm like, wait, I didn't like this other song. What the heck is wrong with me? This song's amazing. So like I got at least like 8 favorite tracks on this album. And I think that's majority of the songs on the album. So even the interludes I like that Mama Talk was just his mom talking about how she will whoop another kid's butt if they mess with her son. I'm like, man, I beat up kids. Don't mess with Tyler Mom. Tyler Mom crazy.
I really enjoyed it, man, and it speaks to, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it speaks to Tyler's growth as an artist. He went from making like really abrasive, in your face, controversial music almost for the sake of controversy,
cynical, extremely cynical,
to making like really bright, colorful, introspective, mature music. And it probably speaks more to him actually growing as a person, because that's what we all do as we age, hopefully. Some people not so much, but it definitely, I think if you would have played like one of his earlier albums, like Bastard or like Goblin, and then like if you're just playing that for a person and then you played them like Igor or Flower Boy or this or even Cherry Bomb, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Cherry Bomb, like it sounds, outside of his vocal tone, from a production and from a lyrical standpoint and the actual sound of the album, they sound completely different. So it speaks to his diversity. I think he's one of the most talented people in music. And, I'm really looking forward to where he goes from here, because for me, at least on his last 3 albums, he's 3 for 3. He's had one of the best runs in rap for me, So along with guys like, Kendrick, or like even like an underground guy like Freddie Gibbs, like these guys haven't missed in their last couple of projects. So it'll be interesting to see what he does going forward, but great album.